Returning to the body is an incredibly crucial and foundational and important aspect of the spiritual journey. You know, even if you haven't done a lot of sadhana yet, a lot of spiritual practice, and you are still in the beginning stages of your spiritual awakening journey, this concept of returning to the body and really understanding what that even means in the first place and what it means to disidentify yourself from the ego mind, which is so problematic, and really feel into the energy and the essence of the body. So a little on what this concept even means, right? What are its origins, and how can we better understand, you know, what this entails? So this concept was, you can say, coined by the spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle. You know, he is an incredibly profound spiritual author and teacher of the modern times. And he had this really, he was in a dark night of the soul for many years, you know, severe depression, suicidal ideation, like it was very bad for him. And on the eve of his kind of awakening, you know, he essentially woke up one morning, with the way that he described it, and he felt this very instantaneous shift where he began to ask himself, you know, I'm always saying I can no longer live with myself. But what does that statement even mean when you piece it apart and you pull it apart? I can no longer live with myself. So who is the I, and who is the myself that I can no longer live with, right? So am I really one, or am I two? Who is this myself that is making me lose my mind and has made me an incredibly depressed individual that doesn't want to live anymore? And when he felt that shift, he realized, wow, this is actually not me. You know, this is the ego mind that is causing these emotions and these feelings, and that has become so incredibly problematic in my life. So I wanted to talk a little about that today. I mostly wanted to talk about, you know, the ego, right? And how it's so incredibly problematic for so many individuals. So many of us are walking around every day stuck in our mind, stuck in the thinking mind, which is really the ego mind, and is really that's not our true essence, right? That's the lowercase s self. And what we really want to tap into and tune into is the higher case s self. This is what so many spiritual teachings, specifically within the Eastern spirituality realm, like Hinduism and Buddhism, talk about, is this capital S self. That's our true essence. But so many of us really struggle to tap into that and really understand that. And why is that? It's because we're always up here. We're always walking around thinking, and those thoughts are the product of the ego. And it's what causes so much suffering for so many of us. You know, I know it sounds kind of crazy to say, but it's almost like this separate entity is like attaching itself to us, or taking over our physical bodies, right? It's kind of a little disturbing when you think about it. Now, historically, maybe once upon a time, the ego might have helped us to survive. But again, as Eckhart Tolle says, it's become dysfunctional in a way that it's causing us to not only harm ourselves, but to harm others as well. So again, taking it back to this concept of returning to the body, what does this mean? Well, so many of us, because we're trapped in our ego minds, we don't know what it's like to actually feel the energy and the essence of the body, which, as I already referred to, is who we truly are. Once we really tap into that, I swear it almost becomes like this euphoric feeling that is so incredibly beautiful, and that's so healing, because once you feel that energy, the thinking mind almost automatically turns off. You can't actually think anymore when you're so tuned in to the physical body. And, you know, one of the other things that he mentioned in his book, The Power of Now, is that this is often why so many of us chase these kind of like cheap thrills that are sometimes even just like dopamine hits, right? That give us this quick fix of what it might feel like to return to the body, like using an excessive amount of drugs or what have you, ways that are just artificial ways to return to the body that really, once we understand this concept, we can tap into naturally with no substances, no crazy amounts of anything that really ultimately aren't the best for us. So I wanted to walk you through and guide you through a little meditation on how exactly we can do this, right? How we can return to the body, but in an instantaneous way that you can do immediately whenever, right? Like even when you're out and about, and you can tap into this feeling of the returning to the physical body is just by taking a body part. Usually it's easiest to do it with your hand, but really you could do this with any body part. Ideally, you'd like to just sit still. But again, this is a really quick, fast way to feel into the body. It's great to do whenever you're feeling really anxious or you're finding yourself in your head a lot. You're finding yourself overthinking. And again, trapped in that ego mind, this like lowercase s self. So what I like to do is to essentially just take my hand, right? You don't really need to look at it or want to look at it particularly. And you can kind of just, place awareness into the hand without actually thinking about the hand or having any thoughts about the hand. You want to just place all of your attention and awareness into the hand. And once you do that, the thinking mind immediately turns off. It's actually pretty incredible once you really make that connection, right? And again, no thoughts here. You're just putting energy into the hand. So what would it be like to, again, not think about the hand, but feel what it would be like for it to just be there without thinking about it, without knowing about it, without cognizing the hand in any way. You just feel like it's this energy, right? Because that's really what we all are. That's what everything is, just a bunch of energy. You don't have to move the hand or do anything crazy with the hand. Just feel into the hand. Put your awareness there. It might even begin to tingle a little. Another thing that I wanted to touch on as well too, and this is something that my mentor and one of my own spiritual teachers talks about often is, so often at the beginning of our awakening and once we learn about, the energy body and especially the chakra system, so many of us are very intrigued and interested in the kind of the upper chakras, right? Particularly the third eye, the crown chakra. And we want to find ways to kind of be up there a lot of the time. How can I awaken my third eye? How can I expand my crown chakra? Well, while that's so beautiful and important and of course incredibly healing, sometimes it keeps us too up here. Sometimes it can cause us to be very floaty, and we neglect these very important grounding practices that help us return to the physical body and help us tap into and tune into the lower chakras, like the root, the sacral, the solar plexus. And these foundational energy centers are so important because without them, we can't even work on the higher ones. We need to know what it's like to have that foundational grounding energy system that resides again in the physical body. It helps us return to earth and really kind of keep us sane, right, in this physical 3D realm. The inner body is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Another way that this practice helps break down the ego is because it returns us to the present moment. The ego cannot exist essentially in the present because the ego needs time to exist. And as we so often hear on the spiritual path and with so many spiritual teachings, is that time doesn't actually really exist, and all that exists is the here and now, is the present moment. So this is a great way, again, to break down the barriers of the ego, is to force your body into the present moment and return to the body. You then begin to experience yourself as divine love with a capital D, as pure energy, as light, as being connected to everything. So I wanted to guide you through this little meditation that you can practice yourself really easily. It's especially helpful to practice before bed. You know, so many of us, we like to be on these devices before we sleep, but that's actually very disruptive to sleep. And you can instead do this meditation. It really helps you understand what it's like to fully feel into the body. It's essentially a form of body scanning. And you kind of, again, if you're laying down, you just want to relax the body. You can use any other tools that you would like. So sometimes I like to smudge with Palo Santo or any other kind of herb to help really clear the energy of the space and ground you. I absolutely love using aromatherapy. So you can diffuse some oils or make a roller bottle. I have some really great blog posts on my blog about grounding oils to use for meditation and relaxation. So you can make a roller bottle and apply this, especially on your kind of your neck area, your arms, really anywhere you would like. This, again, really helps bring you back to the body and prepare you for this meditation. So again, you can do this laying down, or you can do this in a traditional kind of just sukhasana. Either way works fine. And you can close your eyes. Ideally, you'd want to close your eyes. And I like to begin at the very lower end of my body. So I'll start with the toes. And again, similar to what we did with the hand, you want to place your awareness and energy. Again, without thinking about the toes, you just want to place your awareness there. And take a few deep breaths. Stay there for around 15 or so seconds, but really however long you would like. Again, feel into that energy. And then you want to gradually move up to your ankles. So again, feel into the energy of your ankles. Stay there for however long you would like. And then move up to the knees. And then move up to the hips. Again, placing awareness at that part of the body. And then move up to the belly button. Again, placing awareness to that part of the body. Doing this shuts off the thinking mind. And then gradually you can work your way up to the heart. About 15 or so seconds. And then the third eye. You can place your awareness and energy into other areas of the face as well. So you can do your ears, your nose, your mouth, anywhere you would like. And that's pretty much it. This is a very beautiful meditation that you can practice every day if you'd like. Ideally, it's best to practice it every day. And it immediately helps you shift into that inner body awareness. And it turns off the thinking mind. It turns off the ego mind. It brings you back to the present moment, which is all that exists. I really hope you found this helpful and that it was reflective for you and it helped you better understand this concept, really the importance of disidentifying yourself from the ego mind as much as possible on the spiritual journey. I love you all. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me today, and we'll talk soon.